to Dairyland Frights, the paranormal podcast that covers everything spooky, creepy, and mysterious in the Midwest and beyond. And not only do we cover the spooky and the creepy, but also we cover things related to the spooky and creepy that maybe can help you. And maybe, question some things that you're dealing with the paranormal. And that means I have a very special guest with me, Donna, the paranormal therapist, but she's a therapist too. Welcome, Donna.
Thank you for having me today. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you for being here. I saw, as you know, everyone, my spooky friends, I'm on Instagram and I love bringing guests on. I love bringing a variety of different guests. And I saw Donna and I thought, paranormal therapist? Now, that's something I don't see that often when you're a regular therapist, because which you are, correct? You are a therapist that helps people with what? What exactly is your specialty?
So my specialty is trauma and PTSD. I also work with those who have anxiety and depression, but I specialize in trauma and PTSD. And yes, I am fully licensed in the state of Texas, and I'm working on getting licensed in New Jersey and a couple of other states. I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah.
Yes. So what's awesome about it is, like, I suffer from anxiety. I don't mind telling my audience and everybody that, because I know a lot of people do. And I am in therapy present now. I don't mind telling people that because, again, it's helped me immensely. Because I know, Donna, for people out there going, I'm kind of frightened to talk to a therapist. And we'll get into the paranormal here in a little bit. But what would you tell a person who's like, I don't know, they're going to make fun of me, or maybe they're going to point out all my flaws. I don't want that. What do you tell people?
Honestly speaking, I tell people, yeah, it could happen.
Okay.
But you want to find a therapist who you mesh with, who you gel, who kind of gets you, to be honest. I have a therapist, and in my opinion, every therapist needs a therapist because all of the crap we hear all day long, every day, dude, you got to unload it somewhere. I'm just saying.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And that's the funny thing is, we're not perfect people. And I wish we were, but it's okay that you can talk to someone other than your wife or boyfriend or girlfriend or partner or whoever, right?
Right.
That's going to give you their advice, which is fine. You're unbiased, right? Like, you don't have any, well, you do, as I like to say, skin in the game. I know that's kind of weird to say, but you know these people, but you're not like they're your brother. Maybe you do treat your brother or something like that.
No,
you know what
ethically,
I mean?
that's not ethical. So no, I don't treat my brother. I don't treat my kids. I don't treat my mom. I mean, well, kind of, but if you want advice, I will give anybody advice. Hey, it's a thing, but therapy wise, that is unethical to treat family members or friends. But I will treat acquaintances because I really don't know them. And if it's someone who I do know, I actually have them fill out a form absolving me of anything, because if they really want me as a therapist, it's like, okay, that's kind of a dual relationship. So we have to set boundaries, and I set hardcore boundaries. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, in my opinion, everybody should be in therapy. It's just, for me, I know when people work with me, and it's kind of funny because we actually did a thing on my podcast that came out last week, I think, where I introduced my whole team, or my therapy office. I have my office manager and I have an admin assistant, and both of them, I was like, so what's it like working with me? Because I don't know what it's like working with me. And they're like, oh my God, no. They're like, Donna, we get, clients calling us, or texting us and telling us, hey, talking to Donna is like, meeting your friend at Starbucks for coffee, and you're having a coffee date or something, and I was like, okay, that makes me feel good. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So I like to tell people because I do a 15-minute free consult, and I'll tell them flat out, and I've had people text me or email me like, I'm really nervous. And I'm like, why? Don't be. Just imagine you're talking with your bestie over coffee. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, I if you're in the state of Texas, who we have many listeners in the state of Texas, please, look her up. It can't hurt. But we're here, we're a paranormal podcast. So what fascinated me the most was you do paranormal therapy. You want to explain that? to my spooky friends, what does that mean?
So and I will speak from my personal paranormal experiences.
Yes, please.
I have paranormal trauma. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
Shoot, dude. I also have some paranormal PTSD, and it's a thing. And I have been talking with a lot of other paranormal groups, a lot of other paranormal investigators. And, and I actually had somebody like, paranormal trauma, really? Are you kidding me? And I'm like, so let me ask you something. Have you ever been to a location and something happened and it left like a mark on you? So now you go into another location, you're like a little nervous, have a little bit of anxiety. Well, yeah. Okay. That's a paranormal trauma. Sorry, it caused you a trauma. So now it makes you anxious to go into other locations. It's a thing and it's real. Not only that, but clients who are experiencing, crazy stuff going on in their house, that is a paranormal trauma. And it can lead to paranormal PTSD, which is a thing. And I've actually had quite a few investigators like, yeah, that is a thing. And nobody talks about it. Nobody mentions it, but it's a thing. When I actually took on the DBA and the LLC and all the things last year, April of last year, and I started the paranormal therapist because there is a need for it and nobody does it. And I've had quite a few clients reach out or people reach out. They're like, hey, my therapist wants me, to wear a jacket so I can hug myself. And I'm like, yeah, they want you to lick the windows too? And they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, no, we don't do that here. No, tell me what happened. Let's talk about that a little bit and let's work through that because it is real and it does happen and it is an issue. A lot of therapists don't want to acknowledge it. So
yeah, right. It's a big issue too, in my opinion.
I agree. And nobody wants to talk about it. So I am trailblazing. That's what people have been telling me. And I'm like, I don't think so. And they're like, yeah, you're like the only person doing this. And I'm like, okay, I guess I am. But I actually created last year a paranormal PTSD and a paranormal trauma assessment.
Oh.
Yeah. And I wrote a workbook on paranormal trauma and paranormal PTSD, how to work through it. And I've got several books out on Amazon. I don't know. But yeah, so it is a thing and it needs to be talked about and it needs to be kind of like brought into the light, so to speak, in my opinion.
Yes, absolutely. So obviously you can't talk to me about your clients, but you can talk to me about you.
I can.
When was your first paranormal experience and like, how did it affect you? Like, how old were you? Like what happened?
So let me ask my mom real quick. How old was I? So I was about 4.
Wow.
I was like 3 or 4. So I have always seen and heard things that not everybody else around me can see or hear. So I've been one of those gifted people, I guess.
Sure.
And I would be in my room playing and my mom and my dad would come in and they'd be like, who are you talking to? What are you doing? And I'd be like, my friends. And they're like, yeah, go outside and play with your real friends. The ones we can see because this isn't real,
Yeah.
And so that was my life growing up, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I have always seen, I've always heard, and even to this day, to me, they're as solid as you and I are. Okay. So that can present a real problem at times, especially if I'm like in Walmart, because if somebody walks up to me and starts talking, I'm going to respond. And as you can see, I talk with my hands. So I'll be talking to whomever started a conversation with me. And my mom and I used to watch a show called Ghost Whisperer with Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Sure.
Yeah. So when that situation, yes, love that show. I still watch it. When it happens, my mom will walk up and she'll go, hey, Melinda. And I'm like, hey, tell you what, come to my office tomorrow morning between 8 a.m. and 8:03. We'll have a conversation and we'll wrap this up. And everyone goes on their merry way. And my mom's like, are you wearing your Bluetooth? Do you have your earphones in? And I'm like, no. She's like, you need to, because people go think you're nutters. And I'm like, I mean, people already do. So, I mean, kind of failed to see the issue there. But yeah. So it's been a lifelong thing for me. But yeah.
So when you say, by the way, I had a woman on from Spooky Galveston, Texas.
Okay.
She runs the ghost tours there.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I know, Jen.
Awesome. So she does talk about, which made me laugh hysterically, that there is a haunted Walmart in an area where she's been in. There. You will not go there. And why? Why?
Because the energy there is really, I'm super sensitive to energies, and the energy there is really, really heavy. I've gone in there a couple of times, and every time it's like I can't breathe.
Interesting.
It's like being underwater. And so I actually was speaking to a friend of mine, Kathleen Maka, she's an author. She's down in Galveston. She writes a lot. She does a lot of the tours with Jen. And I was talking to Kathleen about it, and she goes, yeah, there's a reason why you feel like you're underwater. And she was telling me the story behind it. And I was like, holy crap. Okay, it makes complete sense. Yeah, I'm not going back there. So,
yeah. What is the story behind it? Is it something to do? I don't want to guess here. I think Jen told me, but why is it haunted again? Like, what was it? It was built on something or something like that?
It was built on the site of an orphanage.
Yes.
And the 1900 storm came through.
Yeah.
And they thought they had gotten all the children out and everyone out, but unfortunately, not everyone did get out, and they did drown. And so there were a lot of deaths there. So yeah, but back in that time frame so what they had done is there were so many bodies. They did funeral pyres and they had all this, but there were still bodies. So what they did was they put them on a barge and took them out to sea. Well, they didn't take them out far enough because with the storm surges from the hurricane, they washed them all back up on shore. So then what they did was they buried them. They just buried them where they were.
Ugh, the worst.
Yeah.
So I don't mean to make light of it, but I'm a silly, weird guy, okay? If you haven't figured that out already. I just see myself like going, hey, I'm going to grab a pizza for dinner tonight. Oh, and there's like a little kid's face in the freezer staring at me. Yeah!
It could totally happen.
Could that happen? All right, there we go.
Yeah, there were currently, and we hope it never breaks. I don't remember the complete death toll, but I want to say it was like 10,000 people or something like that.
Mm.
It is the largest natural disaster death-wise in the entire United States. And I mean, it's sad. We would prefer that Galveston keep that record because we would not want that to happen anywhere else, if that makes sense.
Yes, I totally understand it.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, it is so devastating. But yeah, I was just down in Galveston last weekend, I think it was last weekend. I was down in Galveston for an event. So yeah. Yeah,
so Jen is really good because we had her on, and I want to check out one of her tours. Definitely want to go down there and check it out.
She's amazing.
A lot of fun. She does know her stuff, which I absolutely love, and she's so enthused about it and so much love for the area. It just makes it a better tour, right? Wherever
absolutely, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. And, I don't know if you've heard of things like stone tape theory, where basically all the energy is, the theory goes just very simply, all energy, negative and positive, will be absorbed in an object or an area. So let's use obviously your area with that storm is a big one, but like Gettysburg is pretty much, you know what I mean? Just blood and just torment and fear and just all that in that space. Gettysburg is not a big place. It's not Galveston in a certain where it's maybe spread out a little bit per se. Here's like a concentrated areas where the bloodiest fighting, where people were, watching their friends and family members being killed, in front of you, and maybe you have been shot and you're slowly dying and there's nothing you can do, and you sit there and right? That's terrible. Well, in that area, all that stuff sinks into the ground. It's the pain and the fear sinks into that ground, and that's why if you go to Gettysburg, 90% of the time, you're going to feel something, hear something, see something. It's very extremely rare that something doesn't, where you go, oh, I don't like this. So this is like you said, I feel like drowning. I've heard that from other guests.
Yeah.
Especially with mediums and mystics and clairvoyants. They said, I feel like I'm drowning and I have to leave. Like, I can't be here. I gotta walk out. So that's scary. Have you ever had, before I get questions about your paranormal therapy, have you ever had an experience again where you were just felt like, I can't do this? Maybe you were in a place, maybe you were talking to a client, anything like that.
Oh yeah, actually, it was in Galveston.
Ooh. That makes sense, right? That makes sense. I've had so many experiences, to be honest. The one in Galveston, I was actually attacked by a shadow person. Ooh, okay. Tell me
So
more.
it was super interesting. We were there having with a paranormal group, having a ghost hunting. It was a ghost hunter academy like thing, and we had our good friend Chris Moon. He was down there, and he was hosting. And we had been doing an investigation at the ballroom for the Tremont House Hotel. Well, at that time, they had just gotten the area or just gotten the ballroom, and they had just opened up, like literally a couple of weeks before we'd gotten there. And they had told us they thought there was some stuff going on there, but nobody was real sure. They didn't have any evidence. Well, we got evidence. We had been in one of the ballrooms and there was a stage area. And I had gotten up on the stage and we had some members of our team who are or were, I'm not a part of that team any longer, but they were very aggressive. I'll put it that way. Very aggressive.
Boy.
And
yeah, I got
yeah. And they were acting very aggressive. And I happened to be on the stage and I saw a shadow person come and I'm like, oh no, don't even think about it. Do not even think about it. The next thing I know, and there were 10 or 12 people that actually witnessed the entire thing. And for them, they said it was only mere seconds. To me, it felt like minutes, to be honest. It grabbed me by my throat and lifted me.
Ooh.
I was up in the air. I was 3 to 4 feet up in the air.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like shaking me. They saw my body up in the air shaking. And I'm just like having this conversation. I'm like, you need to put me down.
Yeah.
And it was growling at me. And I'm like, no, you really need to put me down. And it kept growling at me. And I'm like, no, you really need to put me down. And it wouldn't. And so I'm like going like this, trying to release the hold on me because for some reason in my brain, I'm thinking, hey, I can release the hold, right? Like you would a human. And I grabbed my necklace and I pulled it off and I threw it onto the stage. And meanwhile, there's, one guy's taking pictures, somebody else was taking video, and everybody else was just standing. Everybody was frozen. Nobody would move. And I'm like screaming, can somebody, help me out here,
Yeah.
And finally, I got angry. I was like, you know what? I'm not scared anymore. Now I'm mad.
Yeah.
And I told it, put me down. I'll send you back where you came from. And it threw me I hit the wall.
Wow.
I mean, I skidded across the stage and I hit the wall and it ran. Well, when it left, several people ran off after it. And I'm like, I don't know what you think you're going to do chasing it, but okay, go right ahead. Knock yourself out. Right.
All right.
And so, yeah, and so that happened and that kind of affected me. So now when I see shadow people, I get a little,
yeah.
Are you a nice shadow person or not? Because if you're not, we're going to have a problem.
Right. Right.
And I laugh periodically. My brother has a shadow person in his house. And every time I go over there, it's like to stand on his staircase and look into, because he has a staircase. He's in a townhouse. He has a staircase that looks down into the living room. And I'll just stand there and I'll look, or I'll sit on his couch and I'm looking. He goes, sis, leave it alone. It doesn't bother anybody. And I'm like, but it's staring at me. He goes, it's fine. It doesn't bother anybody. I can get rid of it. I know you can. Leave it alone. It's not bothering anybody. Back away.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. I've heard a lot of that with shadow people and everything and dealing with it because it's very difficult because you don't know what their, I don't know, feelings are. You don't know what their motive is. You don't know the intent. You don't know the intent. Is it something like let's say someone unfortunately committed suicide in the bathtub upstairs and it's more of a residual haunting versus an intelligent haunting, right?
Yeah. Well, I know at my brother's house, his house is brand new, it was when he bought it. Had never been lived in. So nothing like that happened. And I know like his shadow person showed up because my son was doing things he shouldn't have been doing. What can you say?
Ouija boards, stuff like that?
No, he didn't do Ouija boards, but he was working with a little bit of the darker side of things. And so, things happen. Every now and then he'll call me, hey, Mom, you got sage? Yeah. Can I borrow it? I was like, I'll give it to you. Just come get it.
Yeah.
But you can also do ABC in addition to that. Or instead of that, he's like, okay, cool, thanks. It's like, okay. But yeah.
That's wow. See, and that's funny too, because a lot of people want to say like, oh, my house was in the 1800s. So again, blah, blah, it was built and all this stuff happened. But when I find it funny when people say, oh, my house was built like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a minute, was it built on a Native American burial ground or something?
Who was doing something stupid? So that's my first question. Whenever I hear something, okay, who is doing something stupid?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And you're just like, yeah, I've been a big proponent of Ouija boards. I tell, people are probably sick of me saying this. I always say, Donna, just don't do it unless you have a professional with you, can help you close it, can help you deal with what might be some of the things that come with it. And really, what are you going to get out of it? I know some people are like, I love my grandma or grandpa, or I love my mom or my dad or my best friend. I just want to talk to her once more. I'm saying there's a lot of other things you can do to reach out to people.
Yes.
And I get it. A lot of people are unfortunately con artists. They're going to be like, whatever. But like, I tell people, just listen to my episodes. I've interviewed people that I would highly recommend who are very scrupulous.
Yeah.
And are not going to be there to make a quick buck, who want to help you, like yourself.
Yeah.
Who really, really want to help you. So, I always say, people reach out to me. I'll put you in contact with them or yourself. And, please reach out, because these are good people and they want to help.
Yeah.
So,
when someone tells me, well, I was playing with a Ouija board, and I'm like, first of all, it's not a game. I do not care if the game stores are selling it. Still not a game.
Yes.
And you don't know what you're playing. Well, I was talking with grandma. How do you know you were talking with grandma?
Correct.
You don't know that. You don't know that for a fact.
Absolutely.
You don't know who you were really talking to. So now what's going on in your house? Because I know there's stuff going on. Well, how do you know that? I just do. Just tell me what's going on with your house. What did you do?
Yeah.
Or what did your kids do?
Yeah.
You know.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So let me ask you some questions about your job that people could maybe, excuse me, that will be like, okay, this sounds good or whatever. And maybe find a little bit about yourself too, that you're like, well, maybe I should change that. Or maybe do a little different. That's always good. Nothing wrong with learning. That's why we're here.
Absolutely not. I love learning.
Donna, here's a big one that I get from paranormal investigators. They'll be called to a house and they'll go in the house, and the owner of the house will say, there's demons in this house. I know they are. They keep attacking me or whatever.
Sure.
And then the paranormal investigators go in there and they find out, well, maybe this person has some type of mental issues. So how do you differentiate between a general paranormal experience where people are going through something traumatic versus like a psychological phenomenon, like a psychosis, trauma, something to that effect, because you're on both ends of the spectrum, right? You're on, maybe someone has over anxiety. They're really, really, anxiety is making them see ghosts and stuff, but maybe they are seeing a ghost. How do you tell the difference, and how do you help them?
So that's why I created the PTSD, or paranormal PTSD, paranormal trauma assessment. So you can ask these questions, and it's actually kind of an involved assessment, but it asks all these questions so that investigators can determine, is this a real, paranormal trauma thing, or is it just a mental health thing? Is there really, some kind of haunting going on within the person or around the person, or do they have a mental illness? Are they schizophrenic, or are they, just kind of, having some kind of, it could be medication based, because there are a lot of medications that cause auditory and visual hallucinations. And my assessment goes into all that. And if anybody wants it, I will send it to you. Shoot me an email, shoot me a message. Donna, I want your your paranormal assessment. I will send it to you. No cost, nothing, whatever. I'll just send it to you.
Love it.
Yeah, it's because there are a lot of people who, and we have actually run into this several times. Oh my God, I'm being haunted and this is happening. There are demons everywhere. And actually the person actually was showing signs of either being schizoid or schizophrenic, which are two different things. They're very similar, but they are different. And so, it was like, okay, so this person, do you take medications? No. Okay. So we need to refer you to a psychiatrist so that, we can't get you on some medications to help alleviate these symptoms, because I know that you feel like this is very, very real and this stuff is happening to you and around you, but you're the only one that's seeing it. You live with 2 or 3 or 4 other people, and you're the only one that ever sees it. No one else has seen anything. No one else has experienced anything. If it was a haunting, as we as investigators know, other people are going to see it and experience it.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So
And I think that's a really tough part of your job, because that person will say, Donna, you don't believe me either. No one believes me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, look at this. Look at the scratches or look at the bruises on my neck. And you're right. That's
Oh, yeah.
tough.
100%. It
That's
is tough.
tough.
So when that happens, what I will do is, and I will tell them, I'll say, let me send in a team and they will stay with you, probably 2 or 3 days, 24/7. Somebody will be with you, have some people with you. We will send them in. Or if you have cameras in your home, set up your cameras inside your house, set up digital recorders, set these things up so we can get audio and visual, video evidence. Show me this is happening. And I'm sorry, so sorry you feel that I don't believe you. However, since you're the only one in the home that's experiencing these things, nobody else is seeing anything. You haven't told anybody anything. So we need some evidence. So please, set up these cameras, set up these audios so we can hear it and we can see it.
Yeah.
And we can go forward from there.
Yeah. One of the, not to get on a tangent, but let's get on the tangent. So
Sure.
one of the things is with the Warrens, you've heard of the Warrens, right?
I'm very familiar with the Warrens. Yes.
Okay. Here's my problem.
Okay.
One of the things was, maybe you have something to add, please do. Some of it I believe that they did actually deal with certain things. But one of the episodes I did was one called The Devil Made Me Do It. It was actual case about a young man. They actually made the movie out of it recently. Conjuring 3 or 4. I don't know. I'm losing track of the Conjuring movies. Anyway, thank you. So, what they found out was that maybe the Warrens were making it worse. And maybe there really wasn't a demon. Maybe there was. Not going to argue that because I was not there. However, it seems like they were making it worse. Have you ever gotten in a situation where someone came back to you and said, hey, Donna, I put all those cameras, I did everything to get evidence. You made it worse by doing that. Now it's worse. Now, how do you handle that?
So I asked them, show me. How is it worse?
Okay.
What's happening? Explain this to me. And, okay, let me send out a team. Well, and I've actually had someone tell me, no, I don't want anyone else coming in my house. Okay. So you're not going to let me send out a team. Well, and I don't want to put out cameras. Okay. So you don't want to collect evidence. You don't want me to send out a team. You just, you're saying that, okay, let's work through that. I will work with them anyway. Because something in their psyche, it has got them completely convinced that this is happening. If I can work with them to help them to release that fear, because it's fear-based is what it is.
Yes.
Something is causing them fear. So if we can work through that fear, then, we can hopefully resolve that issue. I did have a client who refused everything, flat out just refused everything. No audio, no video, no teams, no nothing.
Okay.
And so we kind of started working on it. And I love EMDR. I am a huge proponent of EMDR. It is the absolute best ever, in my opinion. I use it on myself quite often. When my clients do it, I do it too. So, I get it 3 or 4 times a day. But I had this client doing EMDR. And after about 3 weeks, because we did it daily, every day, 5 days a week. And after 3 weeks, the client was like, hey, I need to tell you something before we get started today. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. What? Well, it stopped. It stopped, about a week and a half ago, but I wanted to keep doing it just to make sure, but it stopped. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's super awesome. So how are you feeling now? I feel really good. I don't need you anymore. Great. That's awesome. I love hearing you don't need me anymore. Should something happen, should you backtrack, don't hesitate to reach back out because we can do it again. And they were like, okay, cool. I've not heard back from them. I have heard that they did call out a team to go out and investigate their house finally. And there was 0 evidence found. And the team went in over a period, they went in, then they leave for the morning, go get some sleep, go back in the evening. And they were there for like 3 or 4 nights. Nothing, completely dead. Oh, I was like, okay, cool. So it wasn't mental.
Yeah. Can you explain to my spooky friends what EMDR is?
Oh, yes. EMDR stands for eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing. So my practice, I am 100% remote. So it's 100% remote. And I have a platform that I use for remote EMDR. And basically the way I like to explain it is you watch a stupid little ball on the screen. And I call it a stupid little ball because it's annoying. I have really bad language, so please forgive me.
No, go ahead.
But annoying as fuck. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I follow this little ball, and I let you choose your color, whatever. I let you choose whatever direction you wanted to go in, whatever. And so while you're following the ball, you can either you can think about the trauma, which I tell my clients, don't think about the trauma, but think of a happy event that could surround that trauma, if that makes sense. Okay. So I love paranormal investigating. So I would think about a case that I've been on that was like so much fun, not Waverly Hills. I wouldn't think about that one. I would think about something else, something fun, but I would, and so while you're thinking about this happy event that could have occurred around a trauma, what this little ball is actually doing is it's going into your brain and it's softening those pathways of that trauma or anxiety or depression, your PTSD, whichever you've got going on. It will soften those pathways and it will make it to where you can look back on that event and you can be like, oh yeah, that happened to me, whatever, no big deal. Kind of like me and my shadow person. I can look back on that and it's like, yeah, it happened.
Yeah.
Does it still affect me? Sometimes, yeah.
Sure.
If I see a shadow person out of the corner of my eye and I see it approaching, I'm like, no, you need to back up, buddy. No, you're not coming over here.
Right.
But, every now and then it'll catch me off guard. And it's like, okay, I need to do some EMDR. I need to do more EMDR on that. But I was explaining it to a friend of mine who's a computer guy. And he's like, oh, so it kind of like reboots the system. And I was like, yeah, yes, that it does.
Sure.
Because when we have a trauma or we have a PTSD situation, our brain creates neural pathways around that situation so it doesn't have to think about it so much. And so what the EMDR does is it kind of softens, it doesn't erase those pathways, but it softens those pathways so that the brain can go back to its original operating system, so to speak.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
I love that. I love that. That makes perfect sense now. I love that. So here's another one that I think would be a tough one. Is a client comes in and believes like a deceased relative is haunting their home and causing distress.
I get that a lot.
Okay. So one story I always share is that someone's grandpa, he was fine and everything, but this woman told me when she's a little girl that grandpa liked to hang out in the living room behind the curtains and kind of just, you know what I mean? Just for whatever reason, just hang out there and just watch her while she was all coloring or watching TV or playing a game or whatever. And I was like, wow, what did you do? And she said, well, eventually my mom was like, Dad, you can't be here anymore. You're scaring Donna. I'll just say Donna. You're scaring Donna. We can't have you do that anymore. Please, we love you, but you can't be here. You need to move on. And she was a paranormal investigator and a medium, and she did some other things too. But how do you handle that? Because that must be really tough because it might be a loved one, but it could be an abusive person. Maybe their husband, uncle, somebody like that who did terrible things, unfortunately, to them. And now that person is still in that house. And wow, I don't know how I'd deal with it.
I mean, first of all, I would suggest they cleanse. I'm not going to lie. I would suggest they cleanse the house. And if you can't cleanse it yourself, find someone that can do it for you. But it's super easy. Dude, put a pot of water to boil on the stove. Throw some cinnamon in there. Throw some cloves in there. Smells really good, but they don't like it. And they will vacate the premises. Point blank.
Okay.
If it's your house, I mean, even if it's a rental, I don't care. If you are living there and that is your domicile, flat out tell them, hey, you know what? I appreciate that this was your house at one time. I appreciate that you loved this house. Maybe, they just visited the house all the time, but they love the house anyway. I appreciate you love this house, but it's mine now. I need you to go. You're not welcome here anymore. They will leave. Will they come back? Sometimes, yeah. So then put on a pot of water to boil, put some cinnamon in there, put some cloves in there, boom, they'll leave. Point blank. You can also take lemons and squeeze like a half a lemon in all your drains. Toilets, bathtubs, sinks, showers. They don't like lemon. Why? I have no idea, but it works. Nothing can come in through your drains. So, you're good there. But yeah. Oh yeah. Simple, easy peasy lemon squeezy stuff, to be honest.
Yeah.
And so for clients that have had that, I'll tell them, first of all, do that. Then, once you're clean, put salt. Again, love the salt, right? Put salt on your doorways. Put salt on your windowsills. And I had somebody ask me, inside or outside? And yes, but if you do it outside, remember, if it rains, it's going to wash away. So do it on the inside. And if somebody says, hey, what's this? Say, don't worry about it. walk along. Don't worry about it. Outside on your doorways, exterior doors, obviously, put it underneath doormats. If you don't have a doormat, go to Walmart and buy one for like $10.
Yeah.
You know,
Not the
go to
haunted
Dollar Tree.
Walmart.
I mean, not at the Walmart. Don't go there. Just go to another Walmart or go to Dollar Tree. Hey, buy a doormat, Dollar Tree, whatever. Get a doormat and put the salt line under the doormat and take it an inch to 2 inches past the door frame. And you're covered. Nothing can come back in. Your house is protected. Okay. So we've taken care of the practical. Now let's take care of the mental. Now, what's going on mentally? How is this affecting you? Okay. So let's work on that. And honestly, that's how I roll, to be honest.
Yeah, so, yeah. That sounds great, because I think that's something people have to understand. Like, you need to take control, right? At a certain point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they really, and this is something too that I think is really interesting. I've had really interesting conversations with paranormal therapists, like you, kind of, not to your degree, but, in a sense they are, as well as paranormal investigators and stuff like that. And a lot of people say that when they're on an investigation, when they're going through something, let's say, I don't know, unfortunately they got divorced and they're dealing with that, and they just got a call from their ex and they're like, well, I'm going to sue you now for whatever. And they're going into the investigation, and the spirit kind of latches onto that, right? And I've had people tell me, my partner, whatever, she was working on something, and then all of a sudden she's like, freaking out. And they were like, whoa, what's going on? Do we need to call an ambulance or 911? What's going on? And she's like, this ghost, he's in my head. The spirit's in my head. It's really messing with me. So that, they took her out and whatever. Do you ever have a situation like that where you're dealing with someone and they're about to, maybe you're in a therapy session and they're going to do an investigation? Have you ever said to that person, maybe you want to stop right now and let's talk about before you do an investigation?
I've actually told a couple of investigators, you might want to sit this one out.
Okay.
And, well, no, I really need to go. I really want to go. And okay, then protect yourself. Please protect yourself. I don't know what you do for your protections, but protect yourself, because, we have investigators are all different kinds of religions and all kinds of spiritual beliefs, whatever. Do your spiritual belief, whatever that is. Like for me personally, I have a bottle of sage water in my car. I keep it in my car.
Nice.
And I will spray myself down. I will spray every member of my team down. And I have one of my team members, she's Roman Catholic. Another one, she's Christian. I don't remember which denomination. I don't know. But I'll be, hey, ladies, I'm spraying you down. They're like, okay, yeah, spray us down. Okay, everybody, you have your medals. You have your crosses. You have your stuff. You got your things. Yep, we got our stuff. We got our things. Great. Okay, now we can go in. I don't allow any member of my team personally to go anywhere unprotected.
Sure.
I don't do that. And so when I'm working with an investigator, please go in protected. Well, I don't believe, okay, if you're taking that risk, if you're choosing not to protect yourself, you're taking a risk.
Yeah.
I can't help you if you're choosing to take that risk, because that is self-harm.
Right.
And, that's a choice you got to make. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that, just know, if something happens, well, you're kind of warned about it. We kind of told you.
I mean, we told you to take care of yourself. You chose not to. So
yeah, and that's a hard one. And what do you do when you're let's say you're in a normal therapy session about anxiety? Like, I have anxiety about, I don't know, going to parties.
Sure.
Every time I go to a social event, I'm really, and then all of a sudden they might say something like, well, it's because I went to this party. When I was at this party, I felt somebody touch me, and I turned around and there was nothing there. And then they told me at this party, the house is haunted. But I don't believe in that, but it did affect me. So how do you switch it? How do you be like, wait, whoa. That seems like part of your anxiety, going to parties, being touched by a entity or something.
Being touched by invisible people. I get that. When I actually have had that happen, which is actually kind of funny. Yeah, because every one of these scenarios I've had happen, which I love, by the way. I love it, by the way. So I have had that happen. And with that specific client, he has severe social anxiety, period. He doesn't even want to leave his house. Okay. So, we've been talking about that. And he actually recently bought a car a couple of weeks ago. And he drove, and he's actually a veteran, and he went to the VFW, and he went to, a couple other places. He's like, yeah, I did all this. And I'm like, I'm so proud of you. That's amazing. So when's your next trip out? Well, I don't know, because I had, I got touched again, and I'm like, okay, let's work. We got to work through this again. Okay,
Yes.
we backtrack. That's okay. Because anytime you take a few steps forward, it's entirely possible to take some steps back. And that's
Yes.
okay, because that's normal. Then we take steps forward again. And if you go backward, okay, it's okay. It's normal. That's how healing happens. But yeah, so with him, I told him, I said, well, okay, so when you leave, what do? You grab your wallet, you grab your phone, you grab your keys. Okay. So what are you, what are your religious beliefs? Well, I kind of believe in God, but not really. And okay. What are your spiritual beliefs? Well, I mean, I believe stuff, but I won't see it unless I don't really believe it unless I can see it. And I said, but you felt it. Well, yeah, but did I? And I was like, I don't know. Did you? Did you feel it?
Yeah.
Tell me more about what happened. And so, he was telling me more about what happened with his specific situation. And I told him, I said, okay, so it sounds like you believe it, but you don't want to believe it.
Yeah.
And he was like, he sat there for a few minutes. He's like, okay, yeah, you're right. I don't want to believe it. I was like, okay, you don't have to. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So how are we going to work with you, going out in these social situations where it's possible you might be touched, you might not, you don't know. But what if it happens again? How are you going to respond? How are you going to react? He goes, well, I'm going to text you. And I was like, I mean, fair enough. But if I'm at dinner with my family, or if I'm asleep, or if I'm, on an investigation, or if I'm speaking at a conference or something, I'm not going to respond to you right then. And I tell all my clients, feel free to text me. I will respond. But the caveat to that is, if I'm asleep, if I'm with my family, it might be in a couple of hours. It might not be till the next day.
Yeah.
But I will respond.
Right.
I'm sorry. I have a life too.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's tough. That's a real tough thing.
It is.
I don't mean to be silly and make fun of mental health at all, but there is some silly things out there. So one of the things that I did a show on that I'm absolutely fascinated with is a thing called spectrophilia. It is an actual thing. I don't know if you've heard about it, and that is men and women having affairs with ghosts.
Okay.
So sexual, as well as there's women who are married to ghosts, who claim they've had children with ghosts. Now, when someone would come in there, Donna, and you want to help them, and they're like, I'll make fun of myself, okay? So I don't want to make fun of me. I'll say, Donna, I'm in love with Mary Jane. She used to live in the 18th century, and I love her, and we're going to get married, and we're going to have babies together. So please help me that I can relate to this ghost. You're a paranormal therapist. What do I say? What do I do? Is that a little bit, what do you do?
I have not had that one yet. Knock on wood. I haven't had that one yet. Okay. Well, knock on wood for that one.
Okay.
For that one, why do you feel like this? What brought this on? How did this happen? How did you meet Mary Jane? Tell me about the relationship. How did that develop? So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
And so how, and I'm really kind of confused about this. So I need you to explain to me, how do you feel, or how do you think you're going to have children together? Because I'm mildly confused about this. So I need you to explain to me, how are you going to have children together? Because I'm not quite understanding how that's going to work.
Right. Yes. And by the way, this is all true stories, Donna. You can go look them up. Go Google it. There's a woman
I've heard about a couple of people who have married ghosts, and I'm still very confused by it. But if that is their belief, okay, I'm not here to prove it or to disprove it.
Yeah,
I'm just here to support and
but
talk to my therapist about it, because
that's such far into the spectrum. That's such far into the spectrum to someone who's schizophrenic or has a mental disorder, to someone who maybe, I wouldn't say has a mental disorder, maybe they're just such belief. I don't know what that might be. Obviously, you would know better. But that one is a little more harmful, right? Because they're actually physically hurting themselves, right?
Yeah.
Maybe cutting themselves, something. Yeah. All right. Yeah. One is they're just in their house and they're talking to Mary Jane saying, I love you, and pretend like they're holding their hands. And you're like, okay, I get it. That's harmful. But does it hurt themselves or hurt somebody else? To a certain point, yes and no, right? Because if you see them walking, holding a hand, and there's nobody there, like, I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, it could be very harmful to them mentally, but would it be harmful to someone else? Not necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, I would definitely do an assessment for self-harm. I would do an assessment for, suicide, homicide. I definitely do those assessments for sure. But I would also, I think I would do I would do a paranormal trauma, paranormal PTSD assessment on them, because it's quite possible they've had some kind of trauma, and then this is how they're choosing, or this is how their mind is choosing to deal with that trauma. It could be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, what's the difference between that and a child like yourself, you mentioned earlier, who's sitting in their room and going, "Hi, Mr. Smith, good to see you
Right.
today." And you walk by as the mom and be like, "Oh, hey, John, who are you talking to?" "I'm talking to Mr. Smith. He is a really nice guy. We're playing together, Mom." I mean, you know what I mean? What's the difference between those?
So the difference with that is, first of all, children are wide open. Okay. It has actually been scientifically proven that children are wide open and children see things. Children see and hear more than than adults give them credit for. Now, when a child, like I did, playing with the friends, my parents didn't see them. It took, my dad now has his own paranormal investigation group. I'm not a part of it, but he has his group. I have my own group. My mom didn't believe me until my grandmother passed away 18 years ago. 18 years ago, last October, my grandmother passed away from brain cancer. And funny story, I guess it was about a month after my grandmother passed away, my mom calls me 9:00 at night, and my phone does not ring after 9:00 at night unless there's blood, death.
Yeah, right.
Or near death, something, some kind of accident, some kind of gore or something.
Mm-hmm.
So my phone rings, and I answer. I'm like, "Hey, Mom, what's going on? Are you okay?"
Yeah.
And she goes, "I just saw Aunt Rita in the mirror." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. Welcome to my world." And I hung up on her. It's like, "Welcome to my world. I'll see you tomorrow morning." And I hung up. My mom's Aunt Rita had passed away 10 years prior on my mom's birthday.
Wow.
And so our Aunt Rita was my grandmother's sister. And for my mom to see her in the mirror was, my mom was like, she did not sleep that night. And so when I got to her apartment the next morning, she's like, "I am so sorry. I never believed you. I'm so sorry. I thought you were full of shit. I'm so sorry, all these years." Cause I'm 58. Okay. And so this was 18 years ago. So I was in my 40s, early 40s. And she's like, "I am so sorry. For 40 years, I never believed you. Now I do."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Thank God. Finally, you believe me, And so, yeah, sometimes it takes an experience like that to take a non-believer who's like, "Oh yeah, really, Donna, really?"
Yeah, right.
To going, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry." And so now she's my biggest supporter, which is
nice.
Super awesome. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So obviously therapy is getting better and helping the person get better and everything.
Yes.
What do you do for I don't want to say homework, that's a bad word, but self-care, I guess, look like for a therapist, like yourself, working with, someone who had a potentially intense or frightening experience. Like, obviously, they get off the phone with you, but before they get off the phone or email or whatever you Zoom or whatever you use, you got to be like, "Okay, I want you to do this, John. I want you to do that." What does that look like?
So that looks like, I'd be like, "Okay, John, do you take showers or baths?"
Okay, showers.
Okay, so showers. So what I want you to do, John, is I want you to go to your kitchen, grab some salt, throw it on the bottom of your shower, stand on it before you turn the water on, stand with your feet on the salt. Okay. Then turn your shower on. I know it's going to be cold until it warms up. So sorry about that. I hate that for you, but you'll be okay. All right. Then I want you to take a shower. What that does is salt naturally grounds. It naturally grounds you. And that will ground your whole body from top to bottom because you're standing under the water. Water is also a natural cleanser. So if you're not, if it's say the middle of the day, okay, or morning time, we've had a session in the morning or the middle day or middle afternoon, whatever, and you're not in a space where you can go take a shower, I would say, "Hey, John, go to the bathroom, wash your hands, run your hands under, put your hands under running water." Because what that does is it releases that energy that you're holding on to, and then you can shake them dry, and that also releases energy. So put your hands in water.
Okay. Yeah. I love your tips, Donna. You have great tips. I love them. I don't have any ghosts, at least not that I know of.
That you know of, right?
I think we're pretty clean here. I'll tell you a quick experience first, but the last question for you, then
Sure.
I'll share one of my experiences and maybe you can help me with this. It's over, but I still want to share it with you and see what you think. So one of the things I always want to know, how do you maintain professional standards, boundaries, ethical standards with someone who is telling you, well, I'm still interacting with the spirit or entity, Donna. I'm still talking to this person. And maybe you're getting the feeling they should stop. How do you handle that?
Well, why are you still interacting with this entity? Why are you still interacting with the spirit? Why? Okay, that's what I asked first. Why? Why are we still doing this? Well, because I don't know how to stop. Okay. Have you told them to leave your house? No. Why? What if they won't leave? Okay, you're not going to know if they're going to leave or not until you actually tell them they have to leave.
Yeah.
So repeat, are you ready? Are you ready to end this relationship? Are you ready for them to give you peace? Yes. Okay, repeat after me. This is my house, GTFO. Okay.
Yeah.
And, okay, oh my God, my house feels lighter now. That's awesome. That's amazing. Now go put a pot of water on to boil on your stove, throw some cinnamon in there, throw some cloves in there, and then put salt on your exterior doors and on your windows. It's not coming back. I can promise you.
Okay.
Not coming back.
Right.
If it does come back, then we have a problem. We need to call someone else to come in and take care of that for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's circle back to my question involving, relatives and
Okay.
being, they're distressed. So what if they're saying, it's Uncle Joe. He's not hurting me or anything. He just wants to talk to me because he died in this house. I bought his house and,
Sure.
now what do you do? Right?
Sure. So do you want Uncle Joe to stay still hanging around? Do you want Uncle Joe to stay? If you do, that's awesome. But if you don't want him in your bedroom, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Put a boundary and say, hey, Uncle Joe, this is my bedroom now. You can go hang in the guest room, but this is my room now. This is a hard boundary. You cannot come in here. Put your boundaries up. And here's the thing that I have discovered, that I've noticed, and I've spoken with several other investigators who've actually noticed the same thing. If you put up a hard boundary, they will respect that, unless they're a complete asshole.
Yeah,
which
gotcha.
there are.
And
if they are, then that's when you need to get rid of. You don't need him hanging around.
Right.
Make him leave. You can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. That's really interesting to me. Well, I love your answers. And my spooky friends, you learned some really quick tips and really awesome tips. So before we wrap up, this is a situation I was in. This was a number of years ago, Donna, and everything. And this happens a lot, especially what I've heard from my research. And, well, maybe I should say a lot, but it does happen quite often. So I have a teenage daughter, used to have a teenage daughter. Not that she's not dead. She's alive, folks. She's just in her 20s now. Boy, that came out wrong. My daughter's going to listen to this and be like, where did I go, Dad?
Dad, what happened to me? Hold up.
What happened to me? What'd you do? Everyone's like, what did he do to his teenage daughter? Now it's a true crime podcast. We got to look into him.
My daughter's an embalmer, so,
Okay.
I mean.
Anyway, so my daughter's about 15 or 16. She was going through a lot. Who doesn't at that age? But she was going through a lot. She had anxiety. She had all these different things going with her. She's having trouble at school and everything like that. So I noticed that the house became darker. You know what I'm saying, Donna? Like there's something going on, right? Yep. I'm not sensitive. I'm never saying I was, but I had a feeling. Okay. So one day I was sitting downstairs and right by my ear, a woman's voice said, John, right next. And, I wasn't dozing off. I wasn't sleeping. I didn't have, a lot of bourbon or whatever. And my wife was saying things to me. I'm like, okay, that's a little weird. I haven't heard that before. And then another day, the house seemed darker. When I would come home, it would just feel off. And this is, like I said, when my daughter was going through all this thing. So anyway, I was sitting and I was sleeping on the couch and everything. And you know how maybe you go over to a friend or maybe whoever, and you'll kind of scratch them on the back to wake them up or anything, or run your fingers over them to kind of wake them up without jarring them. I felt that on my back, like a woman's fingers, like, when she has nails, like tapping them on my back. Now, I didn't turn around because there was something in my head. If I turn around, it's not going to be good. Like I know it wasn't my wife. My wife doesn't have nails. She doesn't like that stuff. I know it wasn't my daughter. She's the same thing. And she wouldn't wake me up unless there was an emergency. And I actually asked both of them, like, did you try to wake me up? Was there something wrong? And they both looked at me and like, no, I didn't. I'm like, okay. And then I felt, again, a little darker. But then as soon as my daughter went to therapy, and as soon as I talked to a couple of my medium friends and paranormal people, the paranormal, they didn't give me what you said. They saged the house for me, and they came over and took a look for me. They were very, very nice people. And they were like, yeah, there was something here. We're not sure what it was, but we believe it's gone. And if you have any problems, let me know. So what do you think that was? Do you really think that people in a negative environment can bring that in when there was nothing in the house before?
100%. Yeah. That and so here's the thing about teenagers. It doesn't matter if it's a teenage girl or a teenage boy. Teenagers are extremely hormonal when they're going through puberty. They have all these emotions and all these feelings and all this stuff going on, and they don't know what to do with it. And so they become angry and they become anxiety ridden and they become depressive. So all this stuff creeps up. And that's actually, it's been proven that's kind of how poltergeist activity starts too.
Correct.
Through all, yeah. It's entirely possible that with all the stuff that she was going through, as a, 15, 14, 15, 16-year-old, and, energies are getting darker because she's frustrated and she doesn't know what's going on. Because let's face it, teenagers, what the heck is going on with their bodies? They don't know what's going on with their brains. They have no idea what's happening. And so they're frustrated, they're confused and all this. And yes, they can bring stuff in completely unintentionally. Maybe some do it intentionally, but I'm going to assume it was unintentionally on your daughter's part.
Yes.
But yeah, so then when they start talking to someone about it and they start feeling better, that energy doesn't belong there anymore. And so it will dissipate.
Yeah. That's what I kind of got from it. We've never had that experience before or after. And my daughter's in a really good place because she's gone to therapy, which I can't recommend enough. And obviously,
right.
Good people like Donna who are want to help you. People don't understand. We want to help you. And the paranormal is real. Okay. Yeah. There are real things out there that we can't explain. And that's even harder. Right.
Yeah.
It's one thing to say, well, when I was a little kid, they locked me in a closet 8 hours a day. Well, okay. Maybe that's, you know what I mean? Maybe that's something to do with it.
That could
but
be.
It's not that simple with the paranormal, right? It's not, like I saw a ghost when I was a little kid. It really affected me, but I don't believe in ghosts. And you're like, yeah, but I'm here to help because obviously it's affecting you because you remember that when you were a little kid,
Exactly.
give not let it go. So That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Donna. This has been amazing. I love it. You great tips and tricks. I would love to have you on again, especially like in May where it's mental health awareness. Maybe you can talk about that, right?
Yep,
Maybe having you back on if you're available.
Definitely.
And because I would love to have, because I'm a big mental health awareness person. I think it's ignored on a lot of people. And a lot of people let it go. And that's not a good thing because it's not going to get better unless you want to get better. And I get it. That's a tough thing. So why don't you tell all my friends and my spooky friends where they can find you, how they can reach out to you if they need to talk to you?
Well, my website is super easy. It's theparanormaltherapist.com. That's how you can find me. You can put in Google, The Paranormal Therapist. I am like right there. I pop right up. I'm on Facebook, the Paranormal Counselor, I think, under Facebook. As you know, I'm on Instagram, Paranormal Therapist. But yeah, you can find me any of these locations, any of the social medias through my website. Like I said, theparanormaltherapist.com. If you're interested in any of my books, they are on Amazon. So yeah, Paranormal Therapist, I'm right there. I've written about paranormal trauma and paranormal PTSD. So I've also written a book about, and I want to mention this real fast, about paranormal kids, how to parent a paranormal kid.
Good.
So yeah, it's an amazing little book. And I wish my mom would have had it when I was growing up, to be honest. You're not gonna lie. But yeah, y'all can find me on all the socials. So yeah.
I love it. And please look up Donna because, not only is she doing something trailblazing with maybe a handful of people do. This is a real thing. And don't be afraid, right, Donna? It's okay, to
It's
say,
okay.
I saw a ghost. It's really affected me. I was touched.
Yeah.
I was whatever. I
Yeah.
lived in this haunted house. It was a lot of trauma on me. And it's
I
hard
do
out
want to
there.
say,
Go ahead.
if they want to see me in person,
Okay.
I will be speaking at the History, Haunts, and Legends conference in Jefferson, Texas on April 11th. And in September, I forget the dates. It's the end of September. In Granbury, Texas. I will be in Granbury, Texas, the end of September also for their Spooky Spectacular.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I love it. I love it. So go check her out. And again, thank you so much for being on the show. It was truly amazing. I love to have you back on, and stay spooky.
Y'all stay spooky as well. And thank you for having me.